A very good evening to all our viewers, and welcome to yet another edition of The Agenda. My name is Toivo Njebela, the host. Of course, this is the month of May. We celebrated Workers' Day just a few days ago, and that conversation must continue in the course of the month. And it is against this background that tonight on the show I'm joined by Job Muniaro, who is the Secretary General of the National Union of Namibian Workers, NUNW, as well as Mahongora Kavihuha from, of course, he's also Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress of Namibia, TUCNA. Gentlemen, thank you for being here with me tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. So let's start with the fact that you are serving different federations, each one with its own affiliates. Just before we get into other things, is it purely because the constitution of the country allows people to set up unions and therefore you set up your own, or are there ideological differences between your two federations? We'll start with you, Mr. Kavihuha.
Yeah, I think that we have ideological differences,
yeah,
in the sense that we believe that trade unions must be independent from political parties,
yeah,
must be independent from churches, must be independent from any other formation, but they can foster cooperations on specific issues of mutual interest. So our principle is that of independence of trade unions, and that alone underline the fact that how do we deal with our policies and programs and whatsoever. Secondly, we believe also in the workers owning the means of production, whereby anything that you're doing, it should be trickled down to the one that produced, and if you're not doing so, we will have a problem with it. And what given the birth to that, and also the issues of equal distribution of resources. We are very clear on social protection policies, how should they be. We are always advocating for universality. That's why we are even very instrumental in advancing the agendas of big universal. And that's why we have many other kind of policies in place. We believe in the policies of separations of power and not cosmetics kind of things. That's why we even produce that. We propose that the executive should have owned their public service commission, the parliament should have owned their commissions, the judiciary should have a commission. So no of those institutions should overlap on the other one.
I hear you.
And also the issues of the rights to organize, rights to collective bargaining. We know that those rights are very limited in terms of enjoyment. So that's why I think that's why underlining the fact that we are independent, not only the constitution but also ideologically.
Mr. Muniaro, how do you answer to that? What separates you from the likes of TUCNA? What makes you the go-to federation?
Thank you very much, comrade. We see the federation itself is not a body that it actually has its own membership. You have membership. You have passive membership through your affiliates. So the federation itself is supposed to do the job that the trade unions shouldn't do. More especially when he speaks about politics, more especially when he speaks about legalities of laws, or how the laws should be, and also on the issue of international representative. But I don't want us to run away from saying political trade union should not be. We have the whole world trade unions that has formed labor parties that are in parliament and that are still representing the workers, or that international platform in terms of parliamentary representative, in terms of wherever. Secondly, the members themselves, they have their constitutional right in terms of affiliations or in terms of joining any organization. So for a federation to have a Congress and the workers says they want to affiliate to a political party. That's not a crime. That's the will of the people. That is what we call democracy. And democracy, in short, is the will of the person. And that cannot be taken wrong as if an affiliation to the party is something wrong. First of all, I'm speaking in terms of NUNW.
Yes.
NUNW was first formed before SWAPO was formed. Only the representative of workers at the international platform.
Yeah.
They were already at ILO before independent. But when you want to liberate a country, you cannot liberate a country through a trade union. You could have liberated a country through a political party. That's why the workers has formed SWAPO party in order to liberate themselves and to liberate Namibians. And as leaders of federations, we are equally politicians. It's why we are always involved on political discussions. It's why we participate. It's why we criticize politicians, because that's our job. So there's nothing wrong whether you are affiliated or not affiliated. The aim should be, what is it that you want to do best
for the workers?
For the workers.
I hear you. Now, let's assume, gentlemen, that I was an employee seeking to join a union. Of course, you guys are representing federations in this conversation now. Is it easy for me to join an unaffiliated union, knowing that when you are driving my cause, if I'm aggrieved and I have issues and you are my representative as a unionist, that there is no, you will pursue this issue without fear of reprisal within your political party or anything, and therefore it's easy for me to be with TUCNA, knowing that they have no fear or favor to buy or faces to buy. Or in the case of NUNW, which is affiliated to the ruling party, and therefore have proximity to power, is it better for me to join? It's just a theoretical argument, to join NUNW so that my issues can be resolved faster because you're very, very close to power. Just let's start with me, Mr. Kavihuha.
Yeah, I think that let's advance the debate on, because we are, as sitting at this platform, we are also educating.
Yes.
Let's advance the debate of the issues of trade unions cooperating with political parties.
Yes.
There are many fashions. One fashion, trade union can be in alignment with the political party, in alliance. But then in alliance, you don't compromise your principles per se, because you can walk away anytime. Then we have situations where you are affiliated. Affiliated means that you become like a wing, like a youth league or whatsoever. That is something else. We have also another model where trade unions stand up because of their way they are organized. They form political party. Political party goes, but then they remain independent in the situations of Zimbabwe. Then we go further also where political parties, trade unions stand up on political parties, but then they continue having that control of those that are in political offices. So there are many fashions on how to organize. And then we have those that say that we are independent. We can only influence policy, so that we look at the party, you look at what the manifesto and say, okay, this is pro-workers, this is not pro-workers. You can take, for argument's sake, that what is the position of PDM on a specific aspect that affect the workers? What is the position of SWAPO? What is the position of LPM whatsoever? And then you push the agendas on that aspect. So there are many ways on how to deal. Trade union can associate themselves with political parties. However, to your question is that is it easy for workers to join TUCNA? Or because we are not entertaining the bedroom with a ruling party, our workers will be disadvantaged. It is not easy. It was not easy, let me put it that way, especially the past 25 years. Of course, in 90s, when you talk about independence of trade unions, you were just like talking about something else. But of course, our agenda was to liberate the people's mind, the mind of the people. That you don't need necessarily to be aligned to a person for you to have a dignity. You don't be dancing to the tune of someone for you to claim what is due to you. So it took time for us to liberate the mind. And even the leadership of within TUCNA, they went through very hassles situations where if they come at the political party forum, a specific political party forum, they've been given names and the life goes on. But of course, for now, everybody talk about independency, and that is born from our fight that at least anyone can challenge whoever, and you don't need to wear whatever colors for you to be assisted. You know that in the 90s, even for you to go to the toilet pot, you must first have raised the flag of a political party. But we said, no, it should not be the case. Yeah, so currently now we believe that the way we are representing the workers, we are consistent, and a worker who belongs to us will know that we call a spade, and we are not going to change. In the morning we say this, in the afternoon we say this, in the evening we say something else. We are consistent on that. And as per the Constitution of the Republic, each person has a right to join and they have a right to be represented. And that we are doing it, through our affiliates and ourselves, even at the policy level. Indeed.
Do I have an advantage, Mr. Muniaro, of being a member of NUNW, or of course NUNW is a federation, but any of your affiliates, is there any advantage just of the fact that you're affiliated to the ruling party? Is it likely that my issue will be addressed more? You are close to power, you can call the president and stuff like that?
You see,
or ministers?
We see our powers cannot be superseded by any other power. From the issue of NUNW. So we don't need any other power to represent the workers. Our powers cannot be superseded by any other power. So we are strong enough as a federation that we are so strong that we don't need any political power or influence in order for us to have a well-represented representative of workers. Workers will be represented without SWAPO or with SWAPO or with the government. So we don't need any of them to represent workers' rights. So we are strong enough, and we are independent, and our powers are independent.
You will not be scared of, for example, that you will step on the toes of some people, especially knowing that NUNW historically has always supplied its leaders into government, that if Job Muniaro is doing this, he's sacrificing the possibility of going to parliament and stuff like that?
You see, parliament does not guarantee you to represent workers' rights. Parliament is not a trade union organization. So therefore, I cannot tell people that the best way to represent workers is to go to parliament. At the current state, we have nobody in parliament. We are not affected in terms of representative. So we actually does not go to churches to go and pray for us to go to parliament.
I hear you.
So that's why I'm saying we have nobody to back.
I hear you.
Yes.
We'll go for a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with the two giants of Namibian Labour Federation. We are continuing a conversation with Mahongora Kavihuha, who is the Secretary General of TUCNA, and Job Muniaro, the Secretary General of NUNW. Gentlemen, let's talk about the biggest labor issue in the country at the moment, and that is the issue at MBC. I know that you don't have direct, especially in the case of Mr. Kavihuha, that you don't have a direct bargaining arrangements with MBC, but we are talking about the issue just as a national issue, and not because you have any relation necessarily. What is the best way to overcome the situation at MBC right now?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that I need to also qualify one thing, that solidarity of the workers is unconditional.
Yeah.
You cannot offer solidarity to worker on the basis that you should do ABCD. It is inherited responsibility if you are calling yourself a worker or a trade union movement. So with regard to the NBC strike, we are together unconditionally. And we have also made it very clear when the chairperson of the board threatened the workers. We make it very clear that if you are going that way, it will force us to join our colleagues, and we strengthen our muscles and we deal with you effectively. And from that moment, he softened his ways. Recently, we also wrote a letter to the Minister of Labour, requesting him to evoke Section 82B, that because we opted for that because the Labour Commissioner is the government, NBC is the government, the Ministry of Labour is government, and the Ministry of Information and Technology is the government. So by the end of the day, if you look at the arrangement of Sereti, there's a potential of conflict of interest. And one person or another person to be biased or even to be fearful. I don't think that the Minister of Labour will stand up and call another minister and say that, comment, what you're doing is wrong. You understand? So we call evocations of that one where he says that the Minister of Labour, in consulting with the Labour Advisory Council, will set up a panel so that the panel can mediate that. The panel is tripartite. So that where you have the private sector, you have trade unions, now you have government, this panel is appointed and it's mediated the process, how to go from there. And we have also observed that the reluctance from the Ministry of Labour, if you take an example of the ShopRite strike and this strike, the government is very reluctant because the other strike was involving capital, people that have money. This one is involving very poor, vulnerable workers. So to them, it's non-starter. In fact, they want to delay it so that come the end of the month, these workers, they will have zero on their pay slips just to punish them. And that is a strategy of the government that I've been saying at many platforms, that the way the Labour Act is crafted, it was crafted to weaken the workers, to weaken the trade unions, and to weaken any collective weights. It is just drafted in the interest of capital. Why should you go through all those long processes to ensure that your strike is protected? And they are using the word protected for that matter. But then you go for no pay, no work. The person who go on a strike, unprotected strikes, will still go on non-pay, no work. What is the difference?
I hear you.
So what we are saying is that the notions that the government doesn't have money is just nonsense. This government have money.
I hold you.
They are just misinvesting money, and they have wrong priorities.
I hear you. Mr. Muniaro, you were involved even in the Solidarity March this week with MBC workers. And one of your affiliates, NAPU, has actually gone to court to force government to comply with the demands of the workers. I'm asking you, how do you see the MBC situation? MBC got a 66% cut in the subsidy from government. How do you expect them to meet those demands?
See, in fact, the budget of allocation to NBC is completely reckless. NBC is not a business. It's a service provider. And you cannot deprive a country of information that is constitutional. our constitutions give that priority. Beside that, you cut the budget, and the budget of NBC was not cut because there's no money. It was cut to please the International Monetary Fund because they are applying for a loan today. And these loans at the International Monetary Funds, they have requirements of cutting jobs and all those things.
Yeah.
Cutting your personnel.
Let me just see your voice. Where's your yeah. Sorry, please. Yeah.
It is sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So it has something that you have cut the budget to please the application that you have put in at the International Monetary Fund, which is completely reckless.
Yeah.
How do you sell a country? How do you sell the workers of this country? And the 60%, it does not mean it's only NBC.
Yeah.
It's the whole public servant that must be cut. For what purposes?
But
yesterday we had a march.
Yeah.
And people are afraid, our leadership are afraid to speak with honesty to the trade union leaders. Sometimes telling people of their security. How can I be able to be a risk to a leader that I have elected democratically? They said we must not come in a big number to them as a demonstration. We must come less than 50 or 100. But then when they want to address us to go and vote for them, they want us to come in millions. That's not the way of solving a problem. You don't create a problem that you cannot solve. NBC today, you have deprived the pensioners. They don't know, they have no direction as to where they must get money. There is no news. There are people, business people, that has now getting stagnated because their businesses are not prospering. The adverts that they have paid for in NBC is not getting advertised. And they are not making money through that. If they have sales on items, normally the people stop to buy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying this is completely a reckless decision.
I hear you. But I want to ask you, Mr. Muniaro, before I return to Mr. Kavihuha, to say that to you, what is the issue, what are the exact issues as far as this matter is concerned? Is it because management gave themselves bonuses last year? If they had not given themselves these bonuses, would we still have this situation? Is it a question of workers saying that if you could afford your own bonuses, then you must be able to afford our demands? Or is it a genuine case of workers feeling that they're underpaid?
You see, I don't want us to tamper with the rights of workers.
Yeah.
Workers has a right to demand salary increment. And these countries
in this economy, in this current economy.
In this current economy.
Where would the money come from?
The current economy has money, comrade.
Where, Mr. Muniaro?
You cannot tell me if you mismanage the country's affairs, I must just be I must understood that things has happened normal. You can't punish the person who does not mismanage the fund. You must fire those people who mismanage the fund. There are enough people who are committed to do justice to this country. So we have no reasons to tell people there is no money in this economy.
Yeah.
Where is the money that people are stealing every day? Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
There is no money, people are stealing money. We are talking about corruption today. People are, anti-corruption is hard at work.
Yes.
Following people who have stolen money while the country has no money.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me it's justifiable to tell us 260 million, 240 million that NBC got last year? They could not even increase a blue cent for the workers. And you say it's a right of many years to get 500,000 bonuses. Well, if they have the right, it's fine. Where is the right for workers to demand money? So let us not compare two things that are not comparable.
I hear you. how do we resolve this matter? What is it that must happen for us to see news on TV again, for us to see workers at NBC back at work again? What is it in your view that must happen going forward?
Yeah, before I come to that, I just want to touch on the issues of the cutting. You know, 2015 is the year that we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because we have sought a recession in the economy, and we try to now to consolidate or to cut the budgets and those kind of things. It is a pure basic economics that if you're in crisis, you don't withhold resources. You pump money in the economy to generate demand. You pump money in the economy to generate demand. The approach that we took 15 years, in 2015, when the new administration came to power, it is a mistake that we did. And that is a bad part that leaders, when they come in power, they don't look at which economists, these economists that go to advise me, from which school of economics coming from. Some economists are just there to destroy humanity in exchange of profit. But some economists are there to ensure that the society benefits, and then you have a long-term stability in terms of socio-economic aspects of the people. Now, with Namibia, having a political party that is running, that is completely bankrupt of ideology, now they don't know who's to come as a minister of finance or as an advisor, economic advisor. We don't know, because you don't know which ideology they are following. Should they know what ideology they are following, you should have which economist advisor you can bring for. Yeah. So, to us, we are advocating for wage-led economic growth. Wage-led economic growth. Let the workers, all of them, be employed, which is the full employment, as Keynes wrote in his book. And then these workers have decent salaries. And if they do so, they will increase the buying power. If the buying power increases, the demand will also improve. And so the economy will start moving. And we saw in 2008 what happened to America, when they say that some banks are huge, too huge to collapse. And they pump money, and they keep afloat. Now our approach is very bad. And worst of everything, as my friend have said, Mr. Muniaro, the government went to IMF, which we have warned them several times. The structural adjustment of IMF never helped any African country. Go to Zambia, go all over. So now we are signing, and we are celebrating when we are signing loans after loans after loans. I think that the government is working that come 2024, they should not be Namibia. And mark my words, most of them, they will leave the country. Because that is how they are behaving.
Indeed.
So coming to NBC, I think the government now, they have to go to reserve, pay this money to these workers, resolve the matter, and we take it from there. Of course, we know that the qualities of our boards that are appointed in various boards is questionable. I had the chairperson of NBC board the other time saying that when we came into power, we are trying to identify. How can you identify people that you know? Those that are in contracts, how can board can start identifying? You know that who are those people on contract, who are those freelance, who are those, they are there already. Why should you identify? Spend time to identify. And the NBC issue is also a violations of the right, because they are demanding the issues that was agreed upon already. They are not demanding for salary increase. These things were agreed, were signed, it's a collective agreement, legally, it's binding. So the government must own the agreement.
I hear you.
Instead of passing the laws, you pass the law that all the employers must adhere to. When we come to government, they don't adhere to the laws that they pass.
I hear you.
So the solution that is there, let them swallow their pride, honor the agreements, let them pay the money, let's take from there.
Indeed. We go for a quick break, and then we'll come in the last stretch of the show. Welcome back. We still have the two giants of the trade union movement in the country, Job Muniaro of NUNW and Mahongora Kavihuha of TUCNA. Gentlemen, in this last stretch of the show, let's talk about something that you are both guilty of. In the case of you, Mr. Kavihuha, your affiliate, the Namibia Seamen and Allied Workers Union, has received fishing quotas in this current season. In the case of you, Mr. Muniaro, the Namibia Food and Allied Workers Union, NAFAU, has received fishing quotas. Are you guys unionists or businesses?
Thank you very much. I think we should, it's now high time for us to separate between the right of any Namibian to the minerals of this country.
Yeah.
Whether you are in an organization, whether you are not in an organization, the minerals of this country belongs to Namibians.
Yes.
Whether they are organized by a trade union, whether they are organized by a political party,
Yeah.
these people, in terms of their identities, they are Namibians. And the right for them to organize themselves or to form or to register trade unions or organization is a constitutional right that is guaranteed by the Constitution or also guaranteed by the Labor Act. So there is no guilt in a Namibian being a member of an organization to benefit on quotas through the organization that they have formed or they have organized for themselves. That's not an insult. You could have asked me about people who are enriching themselves by giving quotas to foreigners or to foreign companies. That could have been an insult to the Namibian people. And I'm saying not the fishing alone, diamonds, minerals of this country. Why are we preferring always to say Namibians, it's a crime for Namibians to benefit, but it's not a crime for Chinese or for Zimbabweans or whoever to benefit? Today we have created how many jobs in terms of value addition in other countries, not in our country, because quotas were given to foreigners, or possibly diamonds were given to foreigners.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now instead of buying my wife a diamond ring from Namibian Swiss, I buy it from American Swiss. What the hell is that? And you're still questioning me why Namibians must not benefit through TUCNA or through whoever.
I hear you.
No, that's complete misunderstanding.
Let me ask you, Mr. Kavihuha, are you guys accepting fishing quotas to shut up so that you don't confront the authorities who gave you those quotas?
Thank you very much. I should have been worried if you ask Hango receive quotas, or Shitana, or Shianja, or Jitaviwa, or Ibili.
Yeah.
I should have been worried. Yeah. But you said the union.
Yes.
And I told you that TUCNA is consistent. In the beginning, I said that we have a principle that workers must own the means of production. So in fact, even if the whole fishing quotas were given to the trade unions, we should have been happy people. Because the decision was taken at the constitutional meeting of the trade union that we need to bid for the fishing quota. And when this dividend come into the union, it's not coming into the trade union leaders. Yeah. It's coming to the union. And the union through the structure will decide what to do. Whether they can subsidize the land for the members of the union, whether they can pump in their cooperatives that they have in order to access and build their houses, or even develop their reserves. So that is what we are talking about. If it was given to an individual trade union leaders, that could have been different debate on its own. But this one is given to the trade unions. And even I am not happy that TUN, NUNW, or NAFINU, whatever, all those unions haven't get. They should have received it, because that is, and even for mining rights. Why you don't give it to MUN?
But where do you draw the line, Mr. Kavihuha? So if there are issues at sea today, like we saw in 2015 when those 1,000 guys got fired, of course that was Karonda and Nanlo who sort of organized an unprotected thing there. But so how do you come in there? Do you come in as an employer? Do you come in as a protector of the workers' rights? You are compromised in that situation, by all accounts.
You are compromised if you are looking at it from the capitalist's viewpoint, where the manager's duty is to suppress the workers and the workers' duty is to fight back. If you go and read the philosophy that underlining the trade union-run companies, they don't work in that profession. The trade union-run companies, and that model is very clear and visible in Brazil, whereby, in fact, those companies that now where trade unions have shares, mark my words, down the line 3 years, you will come and say that those are best run companies. In the sense that when you are in charge, you control the up and down of everything. You own the glory time, you own the waste time and all those kind of things. So the workers will be in control on monitoring the performance of company and when to compromise and what to do. So that will be even an advantage. If you just change your statement like this, it will be help those. That's why some companies, they have workers in their boards and all those kind of things. These are old notions that are there. But how to be managed so they can be beneficial to the workers is another question.
I hear you. I hear you. Mr. Muniaro, the NUNW is not just in fishing quotas. You have LIH, the Labor Investment Holdings, which is a holding company of so many subsidiaries. You have NAMIC, the financial services company, and all these kind of companies. And I am saying, when you assume the role of both a representative of workers as a union, but also as an employer, where do you draw the line? If I'm an employee at sea and a company that is owned by you that got your quotas is exploiting me as an employee, who do I go to? Because you're supposed to protect me.
Thank you very much. It's good for us to discuss such thing very open. You see, this country, Namibia, belongs to Namibians and Namibians only.
Yes.
Whatever business must be conducted in this country was supposed or is supposed, must be managed or must be owned by Namibians. Whatever tenders goes out here must not go to individuals, must go to all Namibians to benefit. When we were not having businesses, we had never been contributing to the employment of this country. And this is not just the rights of workers that we must represent. We must make sure that we must be participating in job creation as a Namibian, as a trade union leader. We must lead by examples. It's why you find in all these companies that you have mentioned, you have never seen people demonstrating in front of LIH or in front of a business owned by TUCNA. Why? Because we are responsible employers. We have the workers' problems at our heart. There is no day that we have compromised the workers' jobs for them to be paid even a single percentage, even during this COVID. You will never hear that we have paid half salaries. We have never been exploiters. We want to lead by example to tell you how we should not be exploited. You see, in this issue of NBC, how the workers getting exploited. They say no work, no pay. But the people that are doing the work of the workers at the current moment, How do you want to say you will not pay them their salary if you have been doing their work? So you compromise. Government is the one that has the labor commissioner. They are the one that have the labor ministry. They are the one that has NBC board appointed by a minister. They have the one that has the minister. None of these people that were all elected by workers, none of them, all of them, 100%. There's none of them that are on the side of workers to say our board or our ministry we were wrong. This is exploiters at the highest scale. Now today you want to tell us the exemplary leadership that we are providing with good businesses that has never get bankrupt. Huh?
I hear you.
The government you say the economy of government is not good. Why are you not talking about the economy of our company or the companies that we have? Our economy is good, it's 100% good. We will never get bankrupt because we manage it well.
But let me ask you this quickly before I give Mr. Kavihuha the last opportunity before you wrap up, to ask you, historically NUNW has supplied so many leaders into government. Your Bernard Esau's, your Ben Ulenga's, your so many of them are ministers right now, some of them. And the idea one would have thought would be to say that you are supplying those kind of minds to government so that when situations like the MBC situation arise, government has those kind of minds, pro-worker leaders. But what happens when your guys go to government, they change? What is it?
You see, comrade, you should not run away from the truth. You can't go to university being trained by professors and doctors, and then you pass the test, and you go and use another certificate to do the job.
Yeah.
So we have never produced cowards, we have never produced criminals, we have produced leaders that were always leading with examples, that will always provide leadership. If you go there and become a sellout, it's not what we have produced for this nation. It's why you find us up to here. We are not sellers, we are not for sale. All trade union leaders in this country, they are not for sale. I'm not speaking about NUNW, all of them in this country, they are not for sale and they are not to be bought. So we are not going to sacrifice the lives of workers because we must get a fair check.
I hear you.
Let the fair check goes to all Namibians.
I hear you. Mr. Kavihuha, you have the last throw of the dice. What do you have to say to what he said and anything else to wrap up?
No, I think that the most important thing is I'm saying that if you are not clear on your ideology and you move to a different environment, you are easily to be changed.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that at the independence, I think everybody develop an attitude of it's our time to eat.
Yeah.
And so the government not having a clear ideological principles, where they want to take the Namibian nation to, everybody end up in the situation where we are. That's why issues, or even that's why even the principle of independence of trade unions were born out of that, where you see that these people goes there, they become something else. Then it's not neat, because once you will have to say that you are in a relationship to benefit, or you are in a relationship, you have a comparative advantage of ABCD. But if you look at the arrangement, we are all suffering whether you are there or not there. Now that's why we need to pull together and we join forces and see how best can we deal with the situations that now been captured by the West, the East, and everybody. All the Namibia were at the receiving end. So we need now to reorganize, and we start taking the nation forward. However, as long as we have the current laws that we have in this republic, the current judiciary system that we have in this republic, we are going to suffer. You have seen that even the judiciary, they hardly goes to facts. They end up always on the technicalities. That's how it goes.
I hear you.
Yeah. Now, the laws that were developed is a clear-cut laws that just advantaging everybody. That's why even in NIEF, we the trade union were skeptical about NIEF. Why? Because things are developed and introduced. They don't introduce genuinely. People say that no, we don't have cash flow now. What do we do? Let's come up with a bid. What's the thing? Mass housing. Let's come up with this one just for them to eat.
I hear you.
So everything goes in that direction. That's why we need now to change the society, and we see how best can we redevelop our policies, and we direct the countries, and we reclaim what is supposed to be claimed by us.
Indeed. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I wish this conversation could go on the whole night, but we have to end it here. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And we urge the nation to take extraordinary cautions on COVID regulations.
Yes.
COVID is very deadly now, and people on our I can realize yesterday that all our SUs are full. Let us wash our hands, wear our mask, stay home, and stay safe.
Indeed.
Thank you.
That's the words of wisdom from Mr. Muniaro and of course Mr. Kavihuha. Of course, deciphering those issues that we were occupied with for the show tonight. Thank you for watching and good night.